restart the camera?
I don't know. What pixel is
Alright. Maybe get rid of this.
No.
Okay.
Hmm.
Back up. I guess it's a restarting issue. They should have fixed that in us. Thank you. And we're live. We're audio.
Yeah.
Great.
Wait, hopefully, right? You wanna go say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for just the microphone. It's 1, 2, so yeah. This is an audio test for the live stream broadcast. This is an audio test for the live stream broadcast. This is an audio test for the live stream broadcast. This is an audio test for the live stream broadcast.
I'm not gonna touch it anymore. I'm not gonna touch it anymore. Do you want the direct line?
Yes.
Sure. It's right here. Do you have yeah, do you have an email?
Yes.
Do you want the direct line?
Yes.
Yes. It's right here. Do you have yeah, do you have Gmail?
Gmail.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Gmail.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no problem.
Do you speak public conversation?
Yes. Yeah. We'll be able to watch that. Whether you watch it faster.
Do you speak public conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. Whether you watch it yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's great. Alright, great. Yeah. I'm gonna give it. Yeah, just us emails.
Really? You guys are
Alright, yeah, just us.
so it's really published.
Totally.
And then
Good. What? Good. You know,
like 3 minutes.
at the most Jewish possible.
Yes.
Did you choose it specifically because it's Jewish or just because it's
Like that.
well, I guess God was on your side.
And the fact that you were doing 50 years.
God was on your side. I'm just amazed he's still there.
Yeah.
But that's a big thing.
Ace still. I'll never forget it.
I'm just amazed he's still there. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Ace still. I'll never forget it.
What? Yeah. headphones with the normal jack.
Accept this helpful setting us up. So far, great. Thank you. Good. We're all good. Yes. We're recording. Thank you.
I can make more room here for you all. If you need, no problem. No problem. Thank you. I can make more room here for you all. If you need, no problem. No problem. Anyway, I can make more room here for you all. If you need, no problem. No problem.
Go right ahead.
Do a little more. No problem. No, or we're not live?
What? We are live right now. Yeah, they have the link.
No, or we're not
Do you have the
live.
link? Okay, great. We are live right now. No, it says we're live right now. I'm viewing it right now. Yeah, they have the link. Do you have the link? Okay, great. We are live. No, it says we're live right now.
Ethan, just hold this. I gotta get in here real quick. Ethan, just hold this. I gotta get in here real quick. Ethan, just hold this. I gotta get in here.
die Shanta Vashem Roshi Kosi Revaya Ach Tov v'chesed yirdefunni Kol yamei chayai Kol yamei chayai V'shavti beveit Adonai le'odech Adonai Rohi Lo
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Deborah and Paul recently related to me a story about Aaron at the age of 3. When they went to pick him up in preschool, one teacher described to another which child they had come for as the boy who smiles with his whole body. She immediately knew which one. Aaron's smile lit up the place. Already at his bar mitzvah here in this sanctuary, he spoke about the importance of living life to your fullest. And he did so in his 30 years. He impacted others by opening up the world to them and making each person feel special. His connection to the Jewish people, and in particular to the state of Israel, came from deep within him. It resonated in his core as he sought ways to effect change in Israel in a positive way. We, his community here at Brotherhood Synagogue, were immensely proud of him and his service to Israel. Today's memorial service is a celebration of Aaron's life. There are certain themes that will emerge from the speakers today that will capture the spirit of Aaron. Every one of us has stories about Aaron that speak to his vitality, his friendship, his passion for life. It is up to us to determine how Aaron's spirit will live on in us, how his life and his legacy will affect how we lead our own lives. I'd like to call on his dear friend, Mark Goldstein. His life and his legacy will affect how we lead our own lives. I'd like to call on his dear friend, Mark Goldstein.
I guess you can say Aaron impacted a lot of people. How do you put on paper words that do someone justice that you've known for nearly 20 years? Where does one begin to try and capture the moments that meant the most? Was it the time we slept in a van while traveling through the French Alps for 5 days, and you just laughed at how much I hated it, but was proud of me for realizing that all that mattered was that we were on the mountain first and we were together? Or is it the time you left the army early because it was my first time in Israel, and you wanted to be at the airport waiting for me? Yet of course you were late. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because you showed me what true friends do. Or maybe it's actually that time you jumped in the ocean with me in the middle of January to be there for me. Even though it was cold, we still smiled and we celebrated life. There are many things that can be said about our brother Aaron. We can go on for days talking about how he impacted the world in his own ways, how he made everyone feel like he was their best friend from the moment you met him, or we can even talk about how great his smile was. But when we break it down to its smallest pieces, we realize that Aaron was all of those things because he took life by the horns. He did what he wanted, when he wanted. He always did as he was going to do, and he never hid his excitement for life. One of Aaron's superpowers was bringing people from all walks of life together, whether he was in the room or not. That's clear today. He always had a way of connecting us, joining different friend groups, and we need to make sure we take this opportunity to embrace that we are in fact all in one room, and we need to make sure we celebrate the life that Aaron had. Even for us who are sitting around the world today, they have come together to build their own communities to help celebrate the life Aaron have lived. As you can see, there are cameras around the room, and this is being live streamed. As it's not just us that are out there, it's not just us sitting here, but people are watching all over the world. I want to specifically call out 3 to 4 different restaurants in Aspen that have gathered together to watch, as well as the people of Aspen who have started to build a shrine on the mountain where Aaron had the accident. Aaron was a man of the world. His impact was a global one. And over the past few days, people have reached out to send their condolences from Israel to New York, Ohio to South Africa, and even Australia. And with each of us only knowing small parts of him, the family has asked a few people to speak today who can talk about the different facets of Aaron's life, from a baby growing up, his first time living in Israel, his high school years, his army years, and of course his time in Aspen. All of these times we can guarantee he was smiling and making an impact. With that, I'd like to ask Josette to come up.
Good afternoon. I have known Aaron for as long as I can remember. He was my very first friend. My earliest memories involve us playing in sandboxes, watching Disney movie after Disney movie, trying to make sense of the unfamiliar metaphors embedded throughout. You see, my mom was Aaron and Jonathan's babysitter, or second mother. That makes Aaron my brother. I'm tall, and he was short. I'm black, and he was white, but we were family. We were carefree during those days. All we did was play for endless hours, annoying Paul and distracting him from getting his work done. We had outrageous imaginations and only cared that we were together, living and enjoying life. Aaron and I made so many memories together. There is one, however, that's my absolute favorite. We were having so much fun one day that we did what most kids do, wait until the very last minute to make it to the bathroom. Well, on this day, Aaron and I both had to poop at the same time. We both stood there in front of the bathroom, writhing in our clothes, jumping up and down because we couldn't hold it much longer. Suddenly, Aaron took my hand and he said, "I have an idea. You'll take the toilet and I'll take the tub." And that's exactly what we did. I sat on the toilet and he sat over the tub. We sat there for what felt like forever, just talking. As much as this memory makes me laugh, the ridiculous image of 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl, using the bathroom at the same time, this is not why this memory sticks with me. This memory sticks with me because of the words that we shared that day. Aaron and I sat there and thought about how much we loved each other and how absolutely awesome our lives were together. At the age of 5, we decided that we understood what marriage should look like. Our friendship. On that day, Aaron and I decided that if we turned 30 and were each still single, we'd marry each other. It was our pact, and each time we reconnected, we'd remind each other of it. October was the last time I saw Aaron. He was visiting New York City following a trip to Europe. We all sat at the dinner table as a family, me, my mom, and my brothers, Deborah, Paul, and Aaron. We ate the amazing dinner he prepared for us and reminisced about the good old days. The poop story was brought up again, as was our pact. Everyone laughed as Aaron responded by saying, "Hey, I'm not 30 yet." Of course, he wasn't ready to settle down. He was too busy living his absolute best life and living it to the fullest. Every exciting venture Aaron took on, I secretly wished I had the courage to take on myself. From his pierced eyebrow, to skateboarding, to leaving New York and moving to Israel, and several years later living in France, and snowboarding everywhere from the Alps to Argentina. Aaron was fearless. He did whatever he wanted to as long as it brought him joy. As I stand here today, I realize that this is the legacy that he has left me with. Live life, Joe. Do what you want, exactly what you want, as long as it brings you joy. If I could sit next to him one last time, I would tell him, I love you more than you know. Thank you for being such a wonderful friend to me. Thank you for loving me and always finding time to check in even when we were thousands of miles apart. Thank you for showing me what it means to take risks and live life unapologetically. You are valued, so inspirational, and so loved.
Aaron and I met in high school and abroad in Israel when we spent 6 months together alongside 28 other teens. Each of us came from different backgrounds from all over the United States and Canada, but immediately bonded. On the flight over to Israel, we were all so excited that we barely slept. We turned the plane into our own personal party, walking around the aisles, giggling with each other as we hung over the backs of each other's seats. From that day, we were all connected by an unbreakable bond, one that we only share together and will be with us forever. Many of that group are here today, and the rest I know are tuning in to be with us virtually. When I look back at our time together in Israel, it's hard to describe the spark that ignited the friendship that Aaron and I had. It seemed to just appear out of nowhere. He was always off chasing after other girls in our program, and truthfully, at first, I didn't think he and I would ever get along. He was this cool, fun, down-to-earth New York City guy, and at the time I was a stereotypical Jap from New Jersey. But somewhere during our time, we just clicked, almost effortlessly. One day, I was invited to join Aaron, our friends Max and Zach, and a couple others at their secret tel. Apparently, for months, they had been sneaking off to some Roman ruins they found outside of our kibbutz where we were living, Kibbutz Suba, to smoke hookah. The day I was invited to this secret circle of people was probably when Aaron and I started to become close. I have come to learn over the years that Aaron, sneaking off to do his own thing, was just how he lived life. Always curious, always rebellious, and always making sure to have fun, bringing anyone along that wanted to join. When we came home from Israel, Aaron and I remained connected. Anytime I was having a party in New Jersey, he would stay for days. If nothing else in the world had mattered to him. Hanging out with me, he was enjoying what I just learned this week was that suburban lifestyle he was interested in experiencing. As I reminisced with my mom, she reminded me how happy and comfortable he was in our house. So comfortable that he would just spend hours in my bed, lounging around until we had to gently remind him, I think it's time to go home to New York. We graduated from high school, and he went on to the Army as I went on to college, but even that couldn't disrupt the friendship we had formed. Whenever we found ourselves in the city, we made sure to see each other, and then, by some twist of fate, we were lucky enough to move back to New York at the same time. That time together was probably the most memorable for me. Aaron invited me to start spending time with he and his family here for Shabbat Brotherhood Synagogue. For years, I made it a priority to come almost every Friday. Being around them was like being around family, warm, comfortable, and judgment-free. You guys are the kind of family that nurtured and supported his passions and taught me to do the same. I would get calls from him all the time with what seemed to be crazy ideas, but made total sense to Aaron. One day, he called me and said, "Rachel, you've got to stop by this wine store I'm working at the Opera side." I slightly rolled my eyes on the other side of the phone, thinking, now what is he up to? But I, of course, made my way over. I knew anytime Aaron was excited about something, it was important. I thought it was just going to be some part-time job to make money while living in New York. But that job kindled his passion for wine. That was Aaron. When he became interested in something, he never did it halfway. He immersed himself in it so he could live a life that he loved and enjoyed every day. Another one of those calls came when he was studying abroad. I asked him, "How's school going?" And he responded bluntly, "I don't know, I haven't been." I proceeded to question him about why he hadn't gone, giving him grief and attempting to convince him he really should be attending classes. But of course, that didn't change his mind, and I chuckled, knowing that no matter what I said, he was going to do it his way. The next time we spoke, he told me he had bought a van with a friend, and they decided to drive around Europe snowboarding. No surprise. Aaron had a fire within him that burned brightly every day, a flame that will never really truly go out. His spirit lives on through all of us now. I know that he would want us to live life the way he did, every day to its fullest, with no regrets. Aaron, thank you for being a friend to me these past 14 years, for becoming someone I considered family, and teaching me that life is meant to be lived every day with a vibrant passion for everything you do. You will be forever missed.
Aaron is known by many as a mensch, a sommelier, a multilinguist, a defender of Israel. He lived around the world making friends wherever he traveled. I personally experienced Aaron as a cyclist, a snowboarder, and an active mind. I attended middle school and high school at School of the Future with Aaron. It wasn't until college that Aaron and I started popping into each other's lives, that smile evidently glued to his face. In October 2012, as Hurricane Sandy hit New York, Aaron and I walked to the East River to watch the water rise over the wall to street level. We thought this was awesome. Jumping against the intense winds to get some air. You know Aaron was able to fly, never limited by gravity. After my house was wrecked, Aaron came over to help clean up and bring some joy to this strange experience of being in a flood. His smile contagious and laugh impenetrable. After the gracious offer of the Hills to give me shelter in their home, I gladly moved in with Aaron. I was treated as family, as I still am today. I loved this part of my life, and I'm grateful Aaron was in it at this time. Aaron filled his time as best as possible. He would soak up so much information about any topic that interested him, always willing to take the time to teach anyone. Aaron taught me about wine, about Israel, about snow sports, and about brotherhood. He was inclusive. Aaron loved to host, loved to be hosted. He wanted as many people to join the party as possible. He loved medium crowds so he could hop around, always seeking friends, new and old. All were invited if Aaron was going, permission or not. He enjoyed all climates. He loved rolling in the snow, taking his shirt off in any heat, and didn't mind biking through rain. He took nothing for granted. Biking to the Tron soundtrack, watching GoPro footage with a glass of good wine, watching further, saying prayers on Shabbat, challenging each other's thoughts and opinions, meeting new people, asking about their interests, climbing through a window to surprise me on my birthday, being brave, being fearless, being here. New jobs, new experiences, new friends, biking summer streets, FaceTiming without a shirt, ever. I called Aaron last year and told him my plans to move to Israel. He listened to my story, never interrupting. He followed by telling me, indeed, he also had plans to move to Tel Aviv. This felt like Bashert. Here we go. Aaron and I are going to Israel. Within a week, classic Aaron fashion, called me to tell me, forget Israel, let's go to Australia. We did spend a few months, Aaron teaching me Hebrew. He typed the Hebrew, typed what it meant, and then sent me a soundbite of him saying it. I am forever grateful I can hear him speak Hebrew anytime I want. Truly special. It only makes sense he would rest in his holy land. Aaron, I can't wait to visit you. Too many options for life, so much to do, to see, to experience. He took opportunities. No, he made opportunities. If he wanted it to happen, he'd push the tide to guide his path. Yalla achi, continue your activities, continue your learning, and continue to inspire us to do as much as we can with the time we have. Have fun with Norm, who passed last year, as he always did. Laugh at my silly thoughts. Push John to do more, even though he's accomplishing so much. And love your folks with vigor. I will end with a question posed to me. If there was anything else I'd want to say to Aaron. So I ask you, friends, family, what would you tell him? Personally, I have a whole lifetime of things I'm going to tell him because I'll never stop talking to Aaron J. Hill. Toda rabah, achi.
Is it on? I'm gonna go off script for a second. Yeah? There's no mic. So I'll have to talk loud. It's still... No. You have to talk loud. Oh, okay. Could we all just get up for a second and take a deep breath, please? I feel a lot of tension in here. All right, in. Out. Sit down. I hope that helped. Seeing a lot of people I haven't seen. So, first time I met Aaron, we were in basic training in Golani. I already known who the Americans were in the Army, but I never had a chance to really meet them. Found out that... Louder? Okay. Oh. You can speak from one of the mics up there. There's a mic up here? Oh, great. Mind frame? All right. First time I met Aaron, we were basic training going on. I already know who the Americans were in the Army, but I never had a chance to really meet them. I found out that Aaron attended school at Future Manhattan, where a lot of my friends growing up attended. So one night, when we had free time, I caught Aaron walking around base, and I called him and said, "Yo!" He turned to me, as a New Yorker does when they're called out in public. And I go, "Do you know Roman and Milo?" His eyes lit up. He goes, "Yeah, how do you know them?" So we went down the New York City rabbit hole of who knows who, according to the public school experience, all that stuff. Yeah. And it's not out of the ordinary for people to leave their countries to join the Israeli army in groups and either go to the same unit or just serve together. And it's also not out of the ordinary for people to join the same units together, having met in Israel, making the decision to take the journey together. It is out of the ordinary to find somebody on base in the Army on the other side of the world, went to high school with people we went to elementary school with. So as we went through the Army together, we didn't just serve as reminders of the U.S. or the English language for each other, but also for our hometown, our slang, our way of talking and walking, even the way we fold pizza. It was the same. And in a high-pressure Army that pushes people to their limits, it was a huge privilege that we had each other. I'm supposed to talk about my experience with Aaron in the Army, and you probably are expecting war stories and jokes. I feel everyone has their own war stories and jokes with Aaron. Our service between 2008 and 11 was nestled right between two major operations in Gaza that we were lucky to not be part of, where our unit suffered major casualties both times. The jokes of the Army are great for conversation, but the actual things we did in the Army and the jokes we shared don't really paint the picture of Aaron the soldier. We'll, however, talk about any of those other times where we can trade stories. After doing 6 months of basic and advanced training, Aaron and I put together our permanent units for the rest of our service. We went to Nablus in the West Bank, Gaza, and Lebanon. We also had training periods in the Golan between being on deployment and those three areas. All three borders and training periods have their own challenges and unique situations. What's most important here is how the unit behaves in places, moreover, how the individual soldier acts. In Gaza, for example, the threat of escalation was imminent, and we had to be ready to respond to situations in under a minute. In the West Bank, we interfaced with people who we had no real way of communicating with, and needed to figure out how to prevent the worst situation from happening. In Lebanon, we were basically in a standoff with the Lebanese army waiting out for all-out war. And in training, we worked hard on perfecting our skills and maintaining fitness. Aaron the soldier performed all his tasks. He was ready for action under a minute in Gaza. He found a way to communicate with Samaritans and Arabs in the West Bank. In Lebanon, he stood guard waiting for the Lebanese to attack. And in training, he's one of the few people who actually had the strength to carry some of the heaviest equipment. But Aaron the soldier was a soldier in Golani. Golani, in my opinion, is somewhere between the U.S. Marines and the Brazilian World Cup team. Aaron? Extremely dedicated, hardcore, tough people who will do whatever it takes to get the job done. But are very diverse, love to party, somewhat dramatic, and have a flair for not doing what they're told. Aaron became a Golanchik. His Hebrew transformed into Army slang dialect specific to the unit. The sleeves of his uniform were unrolled to his forearm, started walking with a bit of swagger. When we were finally accepted into our operation unit, and he made these changes, he said to me, "Hey, this is how you survive in the Army, play the game." So we played. Now, part of playing the game sometimes requires not playing the game. Golani is a unit known for its die-hard soldiers who get the job done, but also for not being the most disciplined. If you have a knack for being a Boy Scout, this is not the place for you. Golani is for bad boys. Aaron, who joined the Army to protect Israel and to form his identity, also had a disdain for authority, so he fit right in. Aaron, like most Golanchik do, was not a Boy Scout. He took the Golanchik world quite well. He got his regular tasks done, but didn't care too much for things like showing up on time, shaving, tucking his shirt in. He didn't care too much about shining his boots or making sure his pant legs were braced above the boots. He did, however, run every workout session, stand guard duty, and carry the heaviest equipment in bags every operation. Aaron's disdain for regular discipline got him in trouble a few times. I had the same issues too. The Army's a chaotic place where normal logic doesn't apply. We both struggled with this and at least got to scream in the middle of the night how insane the system was. But it's a system made by humans and ran by humans, and we all made our mistakes in the Army and have had our fights with authority. There is no perfect soldier, just soldiers who figure out how to make less mistakes. The Army being as difficult as it is didn't stop Aaron and I from laughing when we could. I'm not sure if it's a trait of New Yorkers or just being so familiar in certain ways. We shared a dark sense of humor that helped us get through the military. When things would go wrong, when we were given an absurd order, we found a way to laugh about it and carry on. The last thing I want to say about Aaron in the Army is that while he was a fighter loyal to the cause, his rebellious nature also had a creative side. During the end of our service while we were in Lebanon, Aaron talked about attending NYU after the Army and becoming a director. So we started writing the beginnings of a script for a movie. When you're stationed in Lebanon, there's a lot of downtime. During guard duty shifts, we would visit each other and write and rewrite what the story was. We called it Dude, Where's My Gun? This bad soldier falls asleep during guard duty and wakes up to find that his gun was missing. The soldier ends up on a crazy misadventure, only to wake up and find out it was a dream. While we were on the Lebanese border for 6 months doing 8-hour guard shifts, thanks to Aaron critical editing, we only got one page done. After the Army, Aaron the veteran was there for John and his friends when they went through Operation Sukitan in Gaza. We went out with him and his friends to grab drinks and talking kind of de-stress from the whole thing. We didn't go through that operation, but our commanders in the Army were in the Oferta Zuka operation in 2009, so we had a feel for how those types of campaigns weigh on a person. We made a point to do something about it. Brothers in Arms is a common descriptor of what a combat team is in the Army. You eat, sleep, and do everything together around the clock. You really get to know each other. Yet, because of the unique circumstance Aaron and I shared, it was more than that. We knew each other as soldiers, lone soldiers, New Yorkers, and downtown New York City public school kids. The complexity and depth of our relationship was bizarrely unique and special. And having gotten to know him and watched him evolve over the years, I can say this. We knew a lot of people here in the city and in Israel who did not survive, be it by drugs and or their own hand, be it accident or intentional. Aaron lived his life how he wanted until the very end, and not many people can have that said about themselves. Aaron, I'll miss you, and I'll think about you always. Thanks for the memories.
I'm struggling to understand how the world can take such a beautiful human from us and to blink of an eye. In the last few years, Aaron became one of my closest friends, much like a brother. He was truly one of the most incredible people I have ever met. When we no longer lived in the same city, we rarely went a week without speaking over the phone. We spoke over the phone just a few hours before the accident. We talked about his move, about Tony visiting, and his 30th birthday, which was just 4 days earlier. But mostly we just said hi, because we also talked the day before and the day before that. Later that day, he sent me a video of snow coming down, so excited. It's dumping, as if he or Aspen hadn't ever seen snow before. I can't stop seeing his contagious, crinkle-eyed smile and hearing his joyful voice and laughter that lit up every room he entered. I keep seeing him sitting across from me, always smiling. I don't remember him any other way. He is the person I would call if I had lost a friend. Don't forget to smile, life is beautiful, he'd say any time I shared with him that something difficult happened, or if I was simply feeling down. Hours before his accident, as he was dealing with some challenges of his own, Hakol Tovah, he said in Hebrew, everything happens for the best, as he was always able to find the silver lining. I can't seem to find the silver lining here. Where are you, my dear friend? I keep going for my phone to call him, and I can't believe I won't ever get to see him or hear his voice again. I have letters in his writing, some in Hebrew, some in English. I wish I could just send him one more, and maybe that's why I keep finding myself writing these days. He wanted to fall in love, and he spoke with me often about wanting to experience that with a girlfriend. He was passionate about snowboarding. He was obsessed with nature, the mountains, and traveling this beautiful world we live in. He spoke at least 3 languages fluently, fluidly moving between a variety of cultures that he adored. He loved sparking interesting conversations with strangers and made friends all over the world. He loved good food and cooking meals for his friends, paired with great wine. He loved Israel, where he voluntarily served in the IDF and where he will be buried. Excuse me, but he absolutely loved and lived the fuck out of life. We exchanged photos wherever we were, most of which were out camping or hiking or swimming in nature, watching the sun rise or set, or sometimes just a simple but beautiful flower we passed on the street that we knew the other would appreciate. He drove 4 hours from Denver and then flew out to Oakland to surprise me on my birthday last year. He and my boyfriend Dan totally bonded, and after that, Aaron made it clear that he loved Dan as well. We all wished that we lived closer to one another and could spend more time together, brainstorming ways to make the distance shorter. With every phone call, simply hearing his voice filled me with joy, and many times we both made it clear that was purely the purpose of the call. Some of you today may not have had the privilege, the gift of knowing Aaron. Maybe you're here supporting a loved one today. But if we were all gathered together under very different circumstances, and he were to walk into the room with that gorgeous smile of his, just know that he would have made you feel like the most interesting, most important person in the room. And by the end of the party, he would have left you feeling like you'd just made a best friend. Aaron was real and hysterically funny. He was supportive and loving and so much fun. He did everything he did 110%. He lived fully and made sure every moment was an adventure. It's how he lived his life, and it's why he's gone. He was determined and always thinking about his life and where he was headed, but he was so present and engaged with anyone he was with or anything he was doing. He was a gem, an angel, a truly magical human. For about a year in New York, I remember he lived without a phone, wanting to live unattached to what he felt society demanded of us. I remember so many times speaking over the phone and then setting up a meeting place in the middle of Manhattan. I would often get a call from a stranger's phone with Aaron's voice on the other line. He'd be running a few minutes late, or hopped across the street to grab some food, or couldn't find me in the masses of people pouring out of the Union Square subway station. But I always found him with a sweet and sparkly glimmer in his eye and a huge smile across his face. He was always amazed by everything, by everyone, and every moment of everyday life. Looking back now, it's almost as if he knew he wouldn't be around forever. Aaron's sense of freedom was refreshing, magnetic, and inspiring. He was a bright light in this world, a star as bright as the sun. I mean energetically and in his personality, but he also quite literally had this glimmer in his eyes and in his face that never dimmed. Aaron, you were always, and forever will be, an inspiration to live by. He spoke about starting a Facebook group for Arab and Israeli snowboarders around the world, to create peace and connection between people through the love of snowboarding. Borders without borders, he would call it. His heart's doors were quite literally always open, and he was ready to start the project by hosting anyone on his couch who wanted to come ski in Aspen. He also dreamt of opening up a bed and breakfast in the Alps. We can all see the patterns here. A kind-hearted man who wanted to connect with people, to host in abundant love over good wine, his amazing cooking, and unforgettable conversations. The world was big and beautiful, but also so small in his eyes. He never felt tied down and always made it look easy to hop from one side of the world to another. His dreams were big, and he didn't wait to follow them. I only wish he'd had more time to continue pursuing everything he'd wanted, because I know he would have accomplished it all. Aaron, your loss has been felt. Your loss has been felt among people all over the world. I know that I'm not alone in this experience of friendship with you. has been a dimmer place without you. But we will try to keep your light burning bright. Rest in peace, in joy, and in love, my dear friend. To Paul, Deborah, and John, I am so sorry for your loss. I can only imagine the pain you must be feeling. We are all here for you in love and support, and will do our very best to continue to live through the beautiful memories and sparkly spirit of Aaron Joseph Hill.
Hi everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Donnie. I am one of Aaron and Jonathan's cousins. It's an honor to speak on behalf of the cousins on the Saltzman side of the family. Aaron's mom, Deborah, and my mom are first cousins, which makes Aaron and Jonathan technically my second cousins. But forget the technicality, because speaking for all my cousins, we've always felt that Aaron and Jonathan were our first. And when I was thinking about my many memories I have growing up with Aaron, and picking which one I would like to share today, a lot of my favorite memories began to run through my head. Whether it was his permanent smile, that if you knew him and you knew his grandfather Marvin, you could see that he was a perfect copy of him. His amazing, fluffy Jufro that always knew how to blow perfectly in the wind. Ordering my first beer ever with Aaron, of course. Him being there on my first day of military training in the Israeli army and giving me the essential advice that I would need. Or our summer routine in Israel, where he would come over after work every night and we eat like pigs and we laugh the whole night. Or Aaron surprising me and my husband alone at our wedding, even though it was his busiest work season. But thinking about which memory resonates the most and says a lot about who Aaron was, as well as teaches me something very important that I'll carry forever, actually comes from my last experience with Aaron. A few months ago, he was sent on a work trip to St. Bart's. On his way back, he had a layover in Miami where my husband and I live. He texted me the second he landed, and he said that he was rushing over to come see us. He had to schlep 40 minutes out of his way, even though the hotel he was staying at was right next to the airport. He also only had a few hours to hang out because he had a very early flight the next morning. But it didn't matter to Aaron how tired he was or how tired he would be the next day. He could have easily not even told us that he was briefly in town. But knowing who Aaron was, he wasn't going to miss an opportunity, even if it was just an hour, to see and spend quality time with the people that he loved. And that's who I believe Aaron was in every aspect of his life. He didn't waste a second. He made sure to spend every moment doing the things he loved as well as spending it with those he loved. And that's why I believe as cousins we felt so close to him. And why I believe that people that may have only met him once feel like they've known him forever. Aaron, I am grateful to have you as a cousin and to have grown up with you. You are truly a good person. And for the people that knew you, you were a source of warm and positive energy. Your ambitions were great. And as cousins, we always looked up to you for following your passions with every little bit of your heart. I love you very much and am proud of how you lead your life, how you led your life, and to see how many people see you the way I see you. I'm honored to share the same blood. I miss you, cuz, and I will always continue to. To Deborah, Paul, and Jonathan, I'm here to support you guys in any and every way. I love you guys, and thank you all for letting me share a few words.
big of an impact it would have on my life. My wife, Jess, and I have been living in Aspen for about 2 years, but had just come back from a few months in Philadelphia, where we were caring for her father during the end of his fight with cancer. As fortune had it, we had an almost laughably bad experience at Aspen Kitchen that night, which was no fault of Aaron's, but as the manager of the restaurant, he took it upon himself to invite us back for drinks and dessert on the house. He said to come in and ask for him. When we arrived, the smile that we would come to know so well warmly greeted us. We cozied up at the bar with two of our friends who were visiting, and rather than just instruct the bartender to take care of us, Aaron got behind the bar, and while the bartender was mixing up our drinks, Aaron leaned in and got to know us. It was one of the things that Aaron could do better than just about anyone else. He made us feel so comfortable, important, and heard. In the week following that night, it seemed like we were bumping into Aaron everywhere. Friendship was imminent. So he joined us for after-work drinks at the Hotel Jerome, which turned into Mai Tais in our condo and conversation until 5 a.m. We talked about Jess's dad, Jerry, and Mark's dad, Norm, about loss, grieving, and celebrating the people we missed so much. Aspen is a place where your friends become your family, but this doesn't happen automatically. It can be a very lonely place for newcomers. It wasn't until we became friends with Aaron that Aspen really felt like home. And Aaron became a pillar of our Aspen family. Aaron was so incredibly loved in Aspen. His enthusiasm for life in the mountains was contagious and inspirational. The news of Aaron's crash and subsequent passing completely devastated our mountain town. Those of us who were closest to Aaron really cannot imagine life without him. As we gathered here in New York, the community in Aspen has also gathered together, shaping up to be multiple memorials throughout town that have converged into one, which is exactly what Aaron would have wanted. He hated splitting up the squad. For the last month of his life, an incredible gift was given to us. The heat and hot water in Aaron's house had broken, and he ended up living at our place. We knew that deep down, Aaron was stressed out and unsure about the future. His lust for life was shining through brighter than ever. We had visitors coming in from all over the world. We went snowboarding almost every day, cooked family meals at home together, hung out in the pool, hot tub, went out dancing, enjoyed delicious wine. We were living life to the fullest. We celebrated Aaron's 30th birthday with a party at Buckhorn Cabin on Aspen Mountain, and he was glowing. In Aaron's words, we were doing all the things. If there was one small piece of comfort I can offer you all, it is to tell you that in this past month, Aaron's smile had been brighter than I had ever seen. He was so happy, and he was in such a state of gratitude. Aaron was truly my best friend, even though I had only known him for a year. And I know that I'm not alone in feeling that way about him. He was a best friend to so many of us all. Jess and I would have done anything for Aaron, and he was the type of guy who would have done anything for us. It was so painful that his life ended this soon. We were completely heartbroken. Aaron was such a positive, bright light. He was generous, inclusive, and kind. He was a critical thinker, a gifted conversationalist, a poet, and a hopeless romantic. He made us laugh and brought out the best in us in so many ways. For now, all I have left to say is thank you, Aaron, so much. I am so grateful for the gift of having known you.
is Tillman. I'm very glad Aaron and I met a little over 4 years ago in France. I would have never expected that such a strong friendship could have been formed in such a short time, but that was Aaron. We met in Lyon looking for an apartment. It soon became clear that the main reason we had both decided to study in Lyon was to be close to the Alps and to go snowboarding. Aaron had come from New York, I had come from Berlin. We realized we would need a car to get into the mountains. So 5 days later, we were driving with my grandma through Germany looking for a van to buy. This is so characteristic of Aaron. Somehow he had this great ability to go up to anyone, talk to them, and form a strong and lasting friendship within a couple of days. In the days since he passed away, it has become even more apparent to me how many people's lives he has touched and how many people he has inspired. Hearing from all his friends and family, it feels like Aaron packed 3 days worth of activities in just 24 hours. Mostly, Aaron worked 13 hours a day, went snowboarding or just went up into the mountains every day. He cooked dinners with his friends and family and still managed to stay in touch with all the family and friends all over the world, making sure he would call everyone on the phone as often as possible. Aaron, I feel like everyone can learn from the way you lived your life. To all his family and friends, in his last days and hours, Aaron was as excited about life as he ever was. The night before his 30th birthday, he cooked an amazing duck, which he had been preparing for close to a week. His birthday he enjoyed to the fullest. While we were going out to go snowboarding at night, he kept telling me how happy he was that the shrimp he had made for us that night for dinner turned out so good. In fact, the best shrimp he had ever cooked. He was so proud. In his last moments, Aaron was so excited about being outside on a beautiful snowy night. I remember thinking, when he walked up the mountain, to go for a couple more turns in the deep powder. Wow, this man has so much energy to race up the mountain at this speed. I couldn't have done it. Aaron had dreams about opening up a bed and breakfast in the Alps together with some of his closest friends, or convincing me to work as an architect in Aspen so we could enjoy the beautiful nature together. The last big dream he would not stop talking about was starting not-for-profit in Israel to teach Jewish and Muslim kids to ski and snowboard together. Aaron, you were one of my best friends, and I'm so thankful for all the very special moments we were able to enjoy together. Aaron, I love you.
Aaron's calling. He's watching all of this. There's no doubt in our minds. I want to read something from Tali, someone who knew Aaron as a very young age. I wrote something a few days ago and sent it to Sofim Garan Sabar offices in New York. I'd love for one of his friends to read it. As the head of the New York chapter of Sofim, I watched Aaron from aside. I knew how popular and loved he was, but I have a few anecdotes to share. I do believe that the Israeli bug was planted in him during those years. Aaron Hill joined Shevet Tapuach, New York in 2006 when he was in 11th grade. He saw a group of counselors during an Israeli rock concert and followed them. He didn't speak a word of Hebrew. His parents didn't know that he began coming to Sofim every Sunday. I didn't even meet his parents until 2 years later at our end-of-year party. Although everyone around spoke Hebrew, he didn't mind. He just wanted to be with Israelis. We all fell in love with him. Aaron was our first 100% American member in the Shevet. He filled our hearts with pride and joy when he decided to make Aliyah and joined Garan Sabar in 2008 and serve the army. We'll miss you, Aaron. everyone talk and share their stories and own personal moments of Aaron has only inspired me, and I hope all of you, to live your lives a bit more. Take the chance that you've been debating, do something that you've been scared to do, and most importantly, smile every single day that you wake up. Jonas Salk once said, "Hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and in courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality." And that is certainly what Aaron Joseph Hill did. He didn't only talk about things, but he made his dreams into a reality. In a couple of moments, we'll close up the memorial service, and we ask that everyone join us downstairs in the community room. The Hills would like to ask of two things. One, please come and say hello to them. While they're not sitting Shiva, they're going to be sitting and they're receiving, so please come share stories. And lastly, and most importantly, take the time to sit with the new group downstairs. Share Aaron's stories with one another, and make sure that as we all continue to mourn, we remember that Aaron lives on within each of us. And it's up to every single person in this room, every single person watching and all around the world, to share Aaron's stories with their friends, with their family, and with random people they meet, whether it's ordering wine or skiing down the slope. Don't ever forget that together we will keep his legacy alive. I'd like to ask his younger brother John to come up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming together today. It's very clear how much Aaron impacted people all over the world, and I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming out for him today. To be completely honest, Aaron's death and the events of the past week have left parts of me feeling quite empty inside, and I won't be able to say much here. The pains of losing a brother and a friend are difficult to put into words. And at the moment, I don't know what to say with regards to that pain. That, for me, will be a road that is long and ever-changing. Our relationship was intense in many ways, though in recent years it changed considerably. We became much closer, in part because of more shared experiences, and in part because we are simply getting older together. With that said, the joys of loving a brother and a friend are a bit easier to describe, and so those aspects are what I'll briefly focus on today. In this moment, I simply want to remind everyone in this room of the brightness and earnestness of his smiles, the warmth in each one of his hugs, and his absolutely relentless desire to share with other people. That certainly will stay with me forever. I truly am grateful and consider myself very lucky to have been able to share many exciting experiences with Aaron. Together with him and dear friends of his, many of whom are now my close friends, we were able to explore different parts of Europe, Israel, the United States, all over the world. Travel, exploration, language, and really pushing one's own boundaries more than anything are things that over time became part of the fiber of our family. Pushing his own boundaries came very naturally to Aaron. This is one of the first things that I noticed about him growing up. He was always ready to go a bit further, to see what was around that corner, over that hill, or to try and find a way to bend a rule that he didn't care for. He had a way with words, and he had a way with people. And as others have said and will continue to say about him, he could walk into any room and make everyone feel welcome, even if the people in that room were already in their own home. just had that magic quality to him. And I know and recognize that all of us here are saddened to see him go. Not one of us would have wished this for Aaron. He truly had so much love to give and was eager to share it generously. So, while we all grieve, together and apart, I would like to ask us all, to remind us all really, to not allow ourselves to be weighed down indefinitely by his passing. Instead, I genuinely wish for us to be forever reminded of his joie de vivre, that joy that surrounded him, that smile and laugh of his. It was always at the ready, of his effortless ability to bring excitement and at the same time calm to those that he loved. So, while we may cry for him and feel at times that we've lost him, he absolutely lives on within each and every one of us. Please, please, remember to smile for him. Remember to laugh for him, to love for him, and most importantly, to live for him. Thank you, guys.
We're not proud, we'll stand on the stool.
I need my glasses then.
We have a technical timeout. Pepper needs her glasses. She has them.
This has never happened to any of you, right? As a parent, I taught Aaron and Jonathan how to live. Aaron taught me a new way to love. He showed me his depth of passion. Aaron taught me tolerance. He showed me open-mindedness beyond what I knew. Aaron taught me the importance of being silly. His joy in life was his tikkun olam, his way to repair the world. I ask you to honor him by talking about and living Aaron's love, his passion, his tolerance, and his open-mindedness.
Aaron was our firstborn, and we did not at first know what to do or what to expect. But as each day passed and he progressed, sitting up, walking, talking, we began to realize that we were re-experiencing our own lives anew through Aaron. It felt to us as if we were rereading an old book, and that our second reading allowed us to appreciate the profundity, subtlety, and miracle of everyday life that we missed in our own lives growing up. When Aaron was a teenager, he began to lead us down new paths that went beyond our own experiences. We were no longer rereading the book familiar to us. He was writing his own book. As he grew into a man, he broadened our horizons and carried us to new places and experiences. But now he is dead. In Jewish liturgy, there is a sentence in the Amidah prayer which states that God gives life to the dead. Some may interpret this literally, and others figuratively. I am now, in the shocking aftermath of Aaron's death, surprisingly beginning to realize that my work as a parent is not through. I will always be his father, and he will always be a son, brother, friend, and lover. The Torah also teaches us that each of us has been created in God's image. Could this mean that each of us has the capacity to give life to the dead? And what is life if not spirit? Deborah, Jonathan, and I are overwhelmed by your outpouring of love for Aaron's spirit, expressed here in this room, in other places around the world, and in countless messages, cards, and personal encounters over the past week. It has truly buoyed our spirits. And some, perhaps many here, not knowing Israel, may think that we are going on to perhaps a small party, a small group of people. But let me assure you that Aaron will be accompanied from New York by a minion of people. There are people flying from France to go to Israel. And in Israel, I don't know how many people will be there. I am thinking 100, 200 people, maybe more. A good friend of his has moved out of his own apartment so that we may move in there for a week and sit Shiva. We will be sitting Shiva, but there are so many people in Israel who cannot be here right now, who will visit us there. I believe that Aaron's spirit can positively lead each of us into new realms unimagined only days ago. If only we will each let ourselves go to those places. I was present at Aaron's birth. So was Deborah. Eight days after he was born, we hired a mohel. He came to our home along with about 30 or 40 other visitors and passed a scalpel to me and asked if I would perform the circumcision of my son, as has been done by our people for nearly 4,000 years. I think, wisely authorized him to perform that mitzvah on my behalf. For the past few hundred years, it has become customary at the conclusion of a funeral or a burial to recite and chant a prayer called El Maleh Rachamim. I could not at the beginning of Aaron's life perform his circumcision, but I can, at the end of his life, recite the El Maleh Rachamim. I'd like to invite Cantor Isaac Yeager to join us. It is a chant traditionally chanted by a cantor. I was concerned at Aaron's circumcision that I would cause irreparable harm. But here today, I hope you will forgive me if I err in the recitation of that prayer. I'll read it in English first, and then chant it in Hebrew. El Maleh Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Aaron Joseph Hill, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our beloved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.
Kedushim Motorim Kezohar Harakia Hazirim Et Nishma Yosef ben Shaul Yaakov v'Devorah Sarah shehalach la'olamo babo shabli neder eten tzedakah Yad Azkarot Nishmato Megan Eden Tehei Menuchato Vachen Bial Harachamim Yastireho beseter kenafav li'olamim V'yitzror ha'chayim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalato v'yenuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar Please feel comfortable. There are refreshments. Stay as long as you want. Thank you all for coming. It means so much to us.